That was my dream, to become a rock star, touring around and playing gigs, drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Kitchen is like a stage. Food is like a song. Food and rock and roll are the same thing. 2019, the pandemic happened. You're in quarantine, and I need to do something. I'm gonna become crazy. And one day I receive a call like, you get started in one of the best restaurants in LA, and I'm like, I quit my job, and I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. I was born in a bakery. I was living in Mexico. Growing up as a kid, everyone used to work in the bakery industry. Even my dad's side, my mom's side, and everyone was a metalhead in the bakery. And I remember like stealing their cassettes to listen in my room. For me, it was like interesting because I can hear all this chaos in the music. So I fell in love with it, and I started listening to metal. This is the base of everything that we do here. So enjoy. Moving to the US was scary. I got here when I was 14. Getting to TJ from Querétaro, it was really hard because it was just me, a 14-year-old, we just with my little sister, 11-year-old. My mom was already here, so it was just me and my sister. We were waiting for the coyote to cross us the border. The only thing that I carried in my trash bag, it was a pair of socks, some shorts, and a t-shirt. That was pretty much it. So I had to start from scratch here, meeting new people, the language barrier. I didn't know anyone other than my mom, my sister, and my aunt. And so when I get here to the States, I hear that it's easy to buy a guitar, easy to buy a drum set. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start working my ass off. So I get a bass and I start playing, but I start playing just like gigs. I even went to Capitol Records to drop off a cassette that we record in a garage. And at one point I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna make money out of music. It's just for fun. I'm just gonna play in backyard gigs. And then my mom was already struggling with rent. So I ended up going to a restaurant already like with my long hair. I was 14, I already had like a beard, and I put some piercings all over my face and my eyebrows, my lips, my ears. So I went to ask for a job, and the chef laughed at me when I got into the kitchen. He's like, "You really want a job? Take all of that metal out of your face, like, and cut your hair." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And luckily, it was like a barber shop around the corner. I didn't have any money on me, and I told the guy, "Can you cut my hair? Like, I promise I'll come back and I'll pay you." And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So he cut my whole hair, and I took off all of my piercings. I went back to the restaurant. I told the chef I really need that job, and he's like, "Here's an apron." He dropped the apron at me, and he took me inside the dishwasher pit full of dishes all the way to the top. And he's like, "If you can make it today, you have the job." That's how I end up working in the kitchen. I end up meeting a couple of friends who are cooks, and I see them like plating these beautiful plates. So they were willing to teach me, and my creativity started like getting excited because it was a type of outlet for me to express myself.
I was already in the industry. I was lost in the world. I have a friend that I've known like since we were kids, and we've been following each other on Instagram. And she would always go to this restaurant in West Covina. I started following the chef. I loved what he was doing, all the ideas. I needed an outlet from what I was doing to something more, I don't know, different, more into my culture. I wanted to know more about, our cuisine. And that's how I got in touch with Alex.
Elvia, my wife, the love of my life. Elvia came in when Evil Cooks was 1 year old. So I remember like her like working her 12-hour shift at her job and like running to whatever pop-up we have and like help me breaking down, things like that.
I don't have to follow anyone's rules. I get to be creative. I get to, throw my ideas to Alex and he curates them. Just having the space and person to be creative is very freeing.
At one point it was like stuck. Back then I didn't have my papers and I couldn't get any other job than just like a cook. I was a chef for a minute, but it wasn't nothing great that it filled me up. I think you have all these points in your life when you're like in a crisis where you feel stuck. And I was like, I'm gonna start drawing to relax. So I started drawing my logo. I was like, you know what? Let me do an egg. I put some horns, some beard, and I'm like, how should I call this guy? Evil chef. And I'm like, but I hate being a chef, so let's do just evil cook. So one day I decided to go what I was doing in Mexico, go on the streets and sell the shirts. I end up in a restaurant. I told the guy like, you guys don't want to buy shirts? They were cooks, and they're like, no, I don't have any cash. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I was walking. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave the shirts. Like, here, you guys can have it. So that was at Balam. Balam is run by Chendo. Chendo is a creative mind who loves to design clothes. So we became really good friends. And they're like, you know what? Our 3rd year anniversary is coming up. You want to collab? And I'm like, oh shit, that sounds like fun. We did this great dinner for their anniversary. And I end up connecting with a lot of people. People start asking for catering, start asking for private dinners. And I'm like, you know what? This is it. I'm gonna go cold turkey and do my own thing. I quit my job and I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. And we got rejected a lot, but we had to push because I didn't have any other income to pay my bills. So that's how we end up like transitioning from a t-shirt company to a pop-up.
I think LA is the best food city in the world, like bar none. You really can get anything you want in LA. You know, because the population is so diverse. You have all these amazing neighborhoods. People have moved here from all over the world, and so there's food from all over the world in LA. To me, like LA is about going to a different neighborhood, trying something you've never tried before, exploring, discovery. Yeah, I mean, there's no one thing that defines like a good bite in LA. I am the general manager of Smorgasburg. I've been here since the beginning. I had a food blog, I had a podcast, I was writing about food here in LA. And so I love going out to eat, calling it work. So I've continued to do that. I remember going to Evo Cooks' house and meeting Elvia and Alex for the first time with Fernando, who runs our beer garden, whose family owns Guelaguetza, and I love micheladas. Fernando had the taco at Taco Madness and was like, you have to try this, it's amazing.
I remember like we connected with Balam. He reached out to me and he's like, you know what? Taco Madness is coming up. Would you help us to create some dishes? That way we can participate. I mean, like, I'm down, like, it's fun, like, let's fucking do it. And I remember that day we did a black cochinita pibil, the flan taco. It was something that everyone was talking about it. That day, Fernando from I Love Micheladas had the taco and started talking to Zach about the taco. So at one point they contacted us and they're like, you guys want to do like a tasting?
Yeah, I remember going to their house, and at the time they were, I don't know if they were only doing dessert tacos, but that was the tasting. But I remember them serving us these beautifully plated dishes. They were less what I would consider like a dessert taco with quotes around it, and more like what I would imagine dessert to be at a Michelin-starred restaurant in Mexico City, say, right?
Zach said that this is a great taco. It's a taco that I can expect in a fine dining restaurant. Like, it's really well constructed. I love it.
I just felt like I was eating this beautiful, like just chef-driven, amazing care, you know, put into each and every ingredient, each and every layer. It was super smart, and then of course delicious. And it was something you just wanted to eat over and over again. Ultimately, what they do is so unique that adding them into the market with their full menu, it made sense.
After that, like, I don't know, like the years came through and Zach has been a huge help. And we love Smorgasburg. Even now that we have a brick and mortar, we're really loyal and we want to be there like as much as we can. We're tired. Sometimes we think that we need a day off, but you know, Smorgasburg is being grateful for us and we love Smorgasburg.
it was just sort of building on that success. And from then it was kind of like a rocket ship, right? From then on.
El Sereno is a beautiful small ranchito. I say that it's not that big, but it has all kind of people who really support each other. But they've been very supportive since day one. We have so many neighbors that come to eat. We have families that come to eat.
You know, we build this with the support of our community. A lot of people come out every day. It's rewarding, truly is.
This is our house. You get here, pass through the kitchen, you sit down in our patio. We're the ones cooking. We still give that home flavor because we still cook it and we still do it the same way we were doing it at the house. Having all these recognitions is the best thing ever for any people who is in the business, the restaurant business. It's not what I aim for. And randomly one day we get in contact from LA Times, and they told me like, you guys are the one best restaurants in LA, and I'm like, oh my god, like never thought about it, never expected. And one day I receive a call like at 7 in the morning. Hey, you guys are in the nominees on the James Beard. And I'm like, okay, cool, bye. Hang up, I fall asleep again. Then it hits up in my dreams, I guess. I get up, I'm like, oh shit. And that's great. Those things are always welcome. And we are really grateful for everyone who take the time to taste our food and think that this is something worth the drive to come and try.
If you really dig deep, there really is a lot of similarities between being a chef and being a musician. Just like with music, with food, you end up gravitating towards things that are familiar to you, but then also are new and exciting. And when they come together in this magical way, you know, it's an incredible thing.
Like, I love this place. It's what we wanted, it's what we dream about. That this is what I was working for since I was 5 years old. I created so many business before that fell, and to have Evil Cooks at this point is like everything's worth it. Still, like, it's beautiful to see what you have built in so many years, and it's worth to keep pushing until you finally make, like they say, your dreams come true. If I can go back in time and talk to myself, I will tell myself that everything's gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be worth it for sure.